Hey y'all, it is Sunday. That's wash day for me. So I thought I would do a quick podcast because we do it every day. I wanted to give you an update on how things are going with the research, the community research process, and also just kind of check in. So let's get started. It's just me today. Latania's at work. I think this is probably a good opportunity to let people know that we do this research on volunteer time currently, and it is a lot of work. But we love it. We love it. So, what are we talking about today? So, this is season 1, episode 4 of the King County Equity Now Research Podcast. I'm Sean Glaze. I use they, them pronouns. And I'm really excited because this summer and fall, we're going to be engaged in a community-led research process. We've been talking about how, what's the research about? Well, it's about community members, really getting to define what true community safety and health looks like. So we've known for a long time, we've been organizing for decades, saying hey, this whole policing thing as the one approach to creating community safety is not working for us. It is actively harming us. It is killing us. It is harming our elders, our young people. We need something else. And we've been presenting our solutions, and it has not turned into the world that we want to live in. Let's just put it that way. So this summer, King County Equity Now, in partnership with Decriminalize Seattle, put together a proposal, a 2020 blueprint to City Council. It's called the 2020 Blueprint for Police Divestment and Community Reinvestment. It is, I think it's 13 pages. The link is in the description below, and it basically outlines how important it is that community lead the process of really articulating what the priorities should be. Priorities in terms of funding, in terms of the budget, priorities in terms of police contracts, priorities in terms of scaling up community solutions. It's like a pretty long document. I'm not going to lie. That's why we decided to do the podcast. But it really makes the case that we as community members are experts in this, and we should be paid for our expertise, that we should be able to not only, be compensated for our labor, but for our expertise, and we should be able to do things like, define the research questions and direction. We should be able to identify problems and solve them, not just put out a report, and we should do it in a way that actually makes sense to us and our communities. And so the proposal, city council members are on board. Thank you for those of you who are emailing and calling. Keep it up because they are paying attention. It's an exciting time. And so the first couple of episodes, we talked about who could be a researcher, and the short answer is anybody. If you are someone who is curious about your community, you're someone who wants to, connect with people in person or remotely and find out what are the solutions that we want to hold up, that we want to fund, that we want to, expand, that we want to create. All of that. If you're someone who wants to do that work, I don't care how many initials you have, on your name. I don't care how much math class you took or didn't take. I don't even care if you have, finished any kind of schooling. If you are someone who is curious, you are someone who's accountable to your community, you are someone who truly cares, you could be a researcher, and you can be paid to do that research. We will train you. So we're not just going to send you out into the world and be like, well, good luck. Well, so this weekend I'm putting together a cookbook so that people can, have some framework, and we'll do trainings as well. But you can kind of see the recipe for research and, taste a little bit and see what works for you and your community, and take it from there. So today what I wanted to talk about super briefly, because as you can see, I still have conditioner in my hair. Today what I wanted to talk about was geography, or rather place. For people like me who are newer to Seattle, I've only been here for a few years now. When I moved here, one of the things that Okay, y'all, I'm gonna be real. When I moved here, this is so me. When I moved here, I was like, hey, I'm moving to a new city. Let me look at the, census and, other kind of statistics to find out like how many black people there are, how much income diversity there is. Like, I don't want to live around like a bunch of rich people. I don't want to live around a bunch of people who don't look like me. Like, I want to be comfortable. I want to like know and look like I belong in my neighborhood. I don't want to be hassled. I don't want people calling the police on me just because I'm walking around the neighborhood. Okay. So I did all, my research, and we were matched with a real estate person when we moved up here who was going to help us with this move because we were moving from out of state. And the real estate person's like, okay, what are you looking for? And I swear, I busted out my like Tableau visualization of all the census tracts based on the criteria that I was looking for because I'm a data nerd. And I was like, I don't know how this maps onto neighborhoods, but basically here are the key areas that I'm looking at. This corner of this little neighborhood here, this corner of this little neighborhood here. I was like, but you live here. So you tell me, if I'm looking for a place that has income diversity, that has racial diversity, where would you put me? Do you know where they put me? Where? They put me in Upper Queen Anne. So for those of you who are newer to Seattle, you might anticipate that that was not the right place to put me. In fact, when the real estate agent said that, I was like, really? Like, all the data I'm looking at for like decades, and I went back to like, redlining. I went back pretty far, and I was like, everything suggests this is not maybe the place for me. And they're like, no, it'll be fine. It was not fine. It was not fine. I actually, some other time I'll tell you a horror story about like something that happened to me while I was there. But I will say that one of the things that people told me, so I posted to the Facebook group from my neighborhood, and I was like, hey, dear black people, dear people of color, where are you? And there are people of color that live in Queen Anne and Ballard and Magnolia. So I don't want to downplay that. Shout out to all y'all out there. I see you. But for me, one of the things that kept coming up over and over again where people were like, oh yeah, you need to move to the CD. You need to move to Central District. Central District is where all the black people are. And I was like, really? Oh, okay. What? But I would talk to black people and they'd be like, well, listen, it's a little more complicated. And, through talking to more people, I learned that there's generally this sense of a divide between North Seattle and South Seattle. And that South Seattle is seen as being like the home for all the people of color, and that in reality it's way more complicated. I was talking to someone this weekend that's in Lake City, and we were talking about how like up north, like Lake City, even farther north, like Bothell, like a few other areas up there, you have a pretty sizable concentration of people of color. Shoreline, like pretty sizable concentration of people of color. And while some of those areas are like outside of the city limits, there are some areas that are within the city limits that also have a pretty high concentration of people of color. And black people in particular. And one of the things is like, they're like, I think it's really important, that we don't sort of sleep on it. Like, we don't miss the diversity that is within Seattle, and that it's not all concentrated in the CD. It's not all concentrated in South Seattle. And I was like, yeah, like when we wrote this proposal and we laid out the blueprint, we didn't say, just Central District or just South Seattle. We really had, we really kept, close to mind how displacement and gentrification and these other, big forces have caused sort of like a hollowing out of like what many people consider to be like the core of, neighborhoods that were black and brown for a long time and are now less so. And so it's one of those things where I think it's really important that people realize that, no, like we're not geographically bound. We're looking to hear from people from all over the city. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. If this resonates with you or you have questions, you want to talk about it more, we have our teach-ins, details in the description because there are a lot of them. Basically every night from 6 to 7, I do one, and then Latanya sometimes comes to those, and then she does them like every other day in the morning. And if it's like at a time that I can make, then I'll do those too. And so we're just trying to get the word out between now and August 5th and August 10th, when two very important votes happen. On August 5th, the Seattle City Council will vote on some amendments, which are basically going to set the parameters for what can and can't be possible. So please contact your city council, And if you're someone who likes things to be real easy, go ahead and sign up for our email list, and we'll send you like simple steps where you can just like click, boom, be done, and do that every day until the vote. And then August 10th is when they actually vote on the budget, so the dollars, and it's really important. That's the 2020 rebalancing budget vote. So again, we got to keep it up. So come to our teach-ins. Email your city council, let them know why it matters to you to really focus on Black and brown communities, those who've been the most harmed by these policing policies. We want to be real clear that we should be the one leading this effort because of our unique expertise. Ooh, my hair's dripping. Sorry, y'all. I'm going to sign off in a little bit. I just want to say, thank you so much for those of you who've been coming to teach-ins, who've been sending us emails, who've been, sending us messages. It's really cool to see so many people. Thanks for listening to our podcast. And yeah, I think that's it. We're going to be doing a lot more promoting of the podcast this week, more broadly. So feel free to share with people you think would be a good fit. Again, anyone could be a researcher. Definitely, looking forward to hearing more from community members. We're really clear in the proposal around like which community organizations we're prioritizing for these funds. So if you have more questions, check out the 2020 Police Divestment Community Reinvestment Blueprint, which appears on the Decriminalize Seattle website. Thanks, Decrim. And yeah, just kind of keep your eyes peeled, and I will see ya probably tomorrow. Unless you're coming to the teach-in, then I'll see you tonight. Bye.